The Syrian capital is being hit, and state TV says Israel is responsible. It is 4 p.m. in Damascus. It is 5 p.m. here in Abu Dhabi's CNN Middle East programming headquarters. I'm Becky Anderson. You're watching Connect the World. Let's get straight to the very latest inside Syria. And the capital, Damascus, being hit by a series of airstrikes. State media blaming Israel, and the Israeli defense minister shared video of the attack saying, quote, "The painful blows have begun." Well, earlier today, Israel said it has struck the entrance to the headquarters of the Syrian armed forces in the capital. Now, this is what we know. On Tuesday, Syrian government forces were sent to the Druze stronghold of Suwaida in the south of Syria after days of sectarian violence there between the Druze and Bedouin tribes. In response, Israel, which has vowed to protect the Druze community, began launching strikes on the Syrian forces advancing towards Suwaida. CNN's Jeremy Diamond is in Jerusalem. Salma Abdelaziz joins us live from London. Jeremy, let me start with you. What do we know about what is happening right now in Damascus? We do have live pictures of the capital that we can bring up as you are speaking.
Yeah, well, as we have seen, the Israeli military has been carrying out airstrikes in the Syrian capital of Damascus. We know of at least one strike at the entrance to Syria's military headquarters there. 2 civilians were injured as a result of that strike, according to Syrian state TV. We have also seen several other strikes in Damascus, some of which we are still working to confirm the exact location of them. But there have been reports of strikes near the defense ministry as well as near the presidential palace. But what we are watching here on the Israeli side of the border is really quite stunning, Becky, and that is that we are seeing Druze individuals in Israel, either Israeli Druze or Syrian Druze who live in the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights, attempting to cross into Syria to try and help their fellow Druze brothers in Syria who have been under attack in the city of Suwaida. And we are seeing hundreds of these Druze individuals crossing the Israeli border fence into the Israeli-controlled buffer zone inside of Syria, trying to make their way to presumably that city of Suwaida. It has been an extraordinary scene to witness these hundreds of people who have broken across this guarded border fence. We have seen the Israeli military out deploying tear gas to try and get these individuals, many of whom are Israeli citizens, back onto the other side of the border. The Israeli Prime Minister has addressed the matter directly, saying that the situation in Suwaida, that southern city with a very heavy Druze population, calling that situation very serious, but saying that he has one request for the Druze population in Israel, and that is, quote, "do not cross the border." He maintained that the Israeli military is carrying out actions, and indeed we have heard from the Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz, who said that Israel will intensify its attacks on government forces if they do not withdraw from Suwaida. And indeed, in addition to the strikes that we've seen in the Syrian capital of Damascus, there have also been Israeli strikes in and near Suwaida, including strikes on tanks and other heavy equipment, trucks carrying machine guns, according to the Israeli military, that they say were headed toward that city of Suwaida. Becky?
I'm going to come back to you. Stand by. I just want to get Selma up at this point. You've done a lot of reporting and producing from Syria. What do we understand to be happening in the south, in Suwaida, at present on the ground? We are seeing strikes, and we understand and we are reporting on heavy fighting there. Just explain what we understand to be going on.
Yes, so absolutely the flashpoint of Suwaida, which is a stronghold for this Druze community. They are a minority group, but they are a majority in this city. And that is where these clashes broke out over the weekend between Bedouin tribes and this Druze community. Now, we have images to show you of what that outbreak of violence looks like on the ground. Gunfire on the streets, armored vehicles, terrified families, as you can imagine. And with that outbreak of of violence over the weekend. Dozens of people were killed. That's what prompted the Syrian government to send forces to southern Syria. It says, the Syrian government says, in an attempt to quell the unrest, to calm what you're hearing and you're seeing there on your screen. But Israel's response, Israel's intervention in what is a domestic affair has, of course, poured fuel on this fire. The Syrian government's push to try to assuage the clashes in that area as part of a wider effort, Becky, of course, to try to end sectarian violence in the country. That looks very much like a situation that the country does not have a grasp on, and it makes it ever more difficult for government forces to reestablish control in an area when Israeli forces say they have no right to be there. Israel has declared a unilateral demilitarized zone in this part of Syria, something the Syrian government says it does not agree to. It is calling on Israel to stop. It is accusing Israel of violating its sovereignty. So you have a tinderbox here, Becky, with foreign intervention from Israel very much exacerbating that situation on the ground. And you heard from my colleague Jeremy as well, more individuals as well potentially going into Syria and adding to that chaos.
Yeah, and I want to be absolutely clear, Jeremy, I'm going to bring you back in, that we are getting reports of barbaric attacks on the civilian population in Suwaida, and we will get more reporting on that as we move through the next couple of hours. Let's just be quite clear about this. Why are the Israelis getting involved, and why have they vowed to protect the Druze community?
Well, the Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar kind of laid it out this morning, saying that there are two primary reasons for Israel intervening in Syria. The first of which, he said, is that Israel is trying to protect itself, that it does not want to allow certain armed elements along its border in that southern part of Syria. So there is a national security interest, they say. The second element, though, which seems to be the most salient one at this moment, is that they say that they have an interest in protecting the minority Druze community in Syria, citing strong bonds that Israel has with the Druze community. And what's important to also understand is that the Druze community is not a monolith. First of all, the Druze are a religion. They live in Syria, they live in Israel, they live in Lebanon as well. And there are very much differences, not only between the Syrian Druze and the Israeli Druze, the Lebanese Druze, but also within the Syrian Druze community itself. You know, there are several prominent clerics within the Syrian Druze community, one of whom has very openly allied himself with Israel and has had communication with the spiritual leader of the Druze here in Israel. And there has been a constant back and forth there, including with that cleric requesting support and assistance from the Israelis. The Israeli Druze community here, as well as the Syrian Druze who live in the Golan Heights, some of whom have Israeli citizenship, but most of whom do not, they have, of course, a very, very strong affinity with the Syrian Druze community in Syria proper, and have felt extraordinarily concerned over the course of the last several months as they have witnessed attacks being carried out on that Druze community, especially in this city of Suwaida. We have seen Israeli Druze members of the military protesting at the border, saying that they want to go there and fight to defend their Syrian Druze brothers. The Israeli government, of course, carrying out these strikes, but also urging those Druze individuals in Israel not to cross the border, not to take matters into their own hands. But given some of the images that have been circulating here in Israeli media of some of the attacks that have been carried out on the Druze in Suwaida, as you can see, many individuals are feeling compelled to act on their own. And that is why we are seeing these scenes now of hundreds of people crossing into this buffer zone in Syria, which Israel controls, and trying ultimately to get all the way into Syria and to that city of Suwaida.